a comedian, an actor, a writer, a dad, and he's had more diagnoses around substance use and mental health than he can even keep track. He stops counting. Put your hands together for the very wonderful Michael Johnson!
Thank you. We're here to talk about the complexities of primary and secondary diagnosis between insurance providers and the mental health care. Just a story. So growing up, I had bouts of insomnia starting at the age like 8 and starting to go through 9, 10, 11, 12, 27, 35. And I would sit on the edge of my bed and try to get rid of these thoughts and these images that I just could not get out of my head. Alcohol helped. Discovered that when I was 15. It was not hard to get some sleep after a case of beer. And it was actually so much of a solution. I can remember the first time, like one of the first times getting drunk, and I'm at a party, sitting at a table, getting drunk by myself, and I look over at my friends across the room, and I'm like, this is what I've been looking for! So I always needed help. That was not there was no mystery behind that. And I'd talk and see different types of people. My first person that I really remember is this guy, somewhere in high school I talked to. He was this counselor from the Bronx, New York, whose therapeutic foundation seemed to be based, at least to me, on the movie Roadhouse with Patrick Swayze. He's like, Mike, you know what you need to find? You need to find your inner Buddhist bouncer. You see Roadhouse? That guy? Right in here. That's where you gotta be. The next time when I was in college, I walked over to the school psychologist's office, and I remember 5 minutes into the entire thing, he was asleep. And I was like, you know what? Fine, I got this. And I didn't see another therapist for several years, until mid to late 20s. My mother just, at one point, I'm like, obviously I'm living with my parents probably. And she comes down and she's like, do you want to talk to someone? And she wanted me to talk to their pastor at church, who was also a therapist. And my mom sold her to me as, she's a bit of a maverick. She's divorced. And I heard she does gay weddings. But you didn't hear that from me. So I was like, fine. And I went to this therapist, and her name was Jan. She had an office downtown. And as soon as I walked in, she was just very grounded, very matter of fact. And she's like, so, you wanna talk? What do you want? And I was like, I don't know. She goes, just let me hear it. What is it? And I was like, all right, preacher lady, you want to hear some things? I have these thoughts, and then I haven't been able to do anything about them. I have these images, and they're in my head, and I can't get rid of them. I can't sleep, but then alcohol helps, and alcohol seems to help, and then alcohol made everything better. And I can't talk to people. I can't have relationships. I can't talk to women. And sometimes the only time I can talk to a woman or have any sort of sexual intimacy is when I'm drunk, and I get really drunk, and most of my relationships are one-night stands. And then I think sometimes it's not just a woman. It might have been a guy. I'm pretty sure it was a guy. I'm afraid the way I'm going, I'm just gonna die of HIV. And she took a beat, and she said, Michael, That was pretty kinky. And I love that. She put me at total ease. She had a way of turning my perspective on things, and in just such a gentle but firm way. I got one time when I was done, like I just gotten done telling her what a big piece of shit I was. She was like, wait, why do you talk about yourself like that? And I was like, well, I'm from a sports background. I'm like this in-your-face kind of Bobby Knight coach. I tell her like it is. If you're a piece of shit, I let myself know that I'm a piece of shit. She's like, oh, how's that working out for you? Well, she developed like this environment that was trust. There was no judgment. And she could read me as soon as I walked in. I had become a regular patient. She took me on pro bono because she said in order for her to have the office, she had to do some pro bono work. And as she put it to me, she was like, and Michael, you are never boring. So one day she's like, you look pissed. And I'm like, I am pissed. And she's like, what are you pissed about? And I'm like, I'm fucking pissed at God. And she goes, why are you fucking pissed at God? And I'm like, because I've had to deal with this shit since I was 8. I didn't ask to be raped by some guy in my neighborhood. And I'm always dealing with it. When I think it's over, it's not over. I keep dealing with it. It keeps coming back up. And I'm pissed off. Because the other day, I went and I asked this guy for help. He was a family doctor. And I told him what had happened. And he proceeded to tell me, it's okay, it happens. And then he told me about a story about him and 5 other doctors on a fishing trip, and like 3 of them have all been molested. And then the other day I come downstairs and on the fucking front page of the fucking newspaper, he's been arrested for molesting his patients. And she said, Michael, you're a writer, right? Yeah, I gotta admit, this would make a really good book. I'm like, yes, I know, but I'm too lazy to write one. Like, and there's a joke there with the 3 out of 5 doctors on a fishing trip. I'm like, oh no, it writes itself. She saved my life. She got me into treatment, and that was well over 10 years ago, and I haven't seen her. I haven't talked to her. And I stayed sober for 5 years after that. And then there was another 5 years where I was not sober. These issues still kept coming up, and I still was trying to find my way to navigate my own life through it. And I finally got sober, but there's been a price to pay. I mean, I've had to own my entire life. And I lost my marriage, I lost my family. I was not a good husband. But I've seemed to find this other side when I finally decided, to do something about it. And the other is not too long ago, I'm in my little room in this house that I live in, and I'm by myself, and I'm broke. And this feeling came over me, and I was like, what is that? And I was like, I'm fine. And then a couple of weeks later, I'm in the same room, and I'm broke, and I'm alone, and I'm happy. And I'm like, oh shit. Here comes the rug. But what I've discovered is that despite everything that has happened and the mistakes that I've made, that I can be happy, joyous, and free, despite the things that I've done. And then on the other side of it, a thought came to me not too much longer after that, and I was like, wait a sec. If I can be happy and free because of all the shit I've done, then I can be happy and free for the shit that wasn't my fault. And I told this to my sponsor in recovery, and he's like, it's an extraordinary feeling to feel like whatever life throws at you, no matter what, you can find peace and happiness on the other side. It's a pretty cool feeling. And I was like, yeah, I think I found my inner Patrick Swayze.